I have no idea. Julie or Erin? No, she got back from overseas. We're done. Good. Okay. The time is now 6:36 p.m. We're going to start our meeting. Could everyone please rise to the Pledge of Allegiance? I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. It is anticipated that we will adjourn to executive session. Can I get a motion?
I move that we adjourn to executive session to discuss information relating to proposed, pending, or current litigation, collective bargaining negotiations, the employment history of particular persons, personnel matters under employee records, and matters deemed confidential by state or federal law, including seeking advice from counsel.
Second.
It's been properly moved in second. Any discussion? Hearing none. All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstentions? Motion carries. 6:37 p.m. We're going into executive session. We will be out at 8 p.m. sharp.
No, my knees hurt. Yeah.
And when we're ready. Oh. Good. Okay. Welcome. It's now 8:05 p.m. and we are back from executive session. First item on our agenda is introduction of new hires. Ivy, do we have any new hires? No. Next on our agenda is recognition of the varsity fencing team. So, we have some people in the audience. So every once in a while, things come to my attention, and it was brought to my attention that our varsity fencing team did really well this year. I have not made it to any of your fencing meets. I'm so sorry, but I can be honest and admit that I don't know very much about fencing. So I am so happy and proud of everyone, and I want to have your coach come up. She's somewhere? Yeah? So this has been on our social media. That's how I found out about some of it. Miss Weir, who's also a teacher here in the district, is there a mic there for her? Can you turn that on? So can you please let us know what went on with your fencing team this year? How did they do?
So I have 4 teams, technically. They're both boys and girls, and then in fencing there are 2 swords. One is foil, and one is epee. So of my 4 teams, 3 of them competed at sectionals at the beginning of the month. And my girls' epee placed 5th, which is, they came in at 7th and placed 5th, so that was a great improvement for them. And then both of my boys and girls' foil teams placed 2nd in the sectionals, which is the highest saved place.
So we have some pretty awesome sports teams. Last year we had an awesome basketball team that went all the way to the States, and now we have a fencing team that's 2nd in sectionals. Can we have some of the kids from the fencing team come up front? Are the risers still there? No? Please come up front. Don't try to be shy. You're in the audience now. Come up front. It's too late. Have to introduce yourselves. I don't know if the risers, are the risers still there? Oh, okay. So we're going to take a photo, but you guys got to get on the mic and introduce yourselves. I'd like to hear name, grade, and what you like about fencing.
Hi, I'm Marissa Pola. I'm a senior, and I'm the foil captain of the girls' varsity fencing team. About fencing, I was really shy going into the sport, but it helped me open up and meet new people. And especially at this school, fencing isn't offered anywhere else, so I'm really happy that I get to do it here.
Wonderful, thank you.
Hi, I'm Emma Gashi. So I'm in 10th grade. I'm in girls foil. And one of the things I like about fencing is the community and like everybody here. I'm like friends with basically everybody, and everybody's so welcoming. And last year was my first year, and last year we got third, and this year we got second, and it was just a really wonderful experience. So,
Thank you. What grade were you in?
10th.
10th grade. Okay, great. Thank you. I can't see you because you're hiding over there. Come out. Thank you.
Hi, my name is Julia, and I'm in 10th grade. And what I really like most about fencing is the team and how it's a different sport from all the others.
Wonderful. Thank you.
My name's Sarah Flanagan. I'm also in 10th grade, and I've been fencing since 7th grade. And it's really amazing to see how the team has grown since we weren't even in sectionals when I first started, and now we've come so far, and we can still make improvements. So hopefully next year for gold.
Thank you. You gotta come. We can't see you. Come show yourself. Come on.
I'm McKenna Ritchie. I'm in 10th grade, and I really love, I know everyone else has said this, but I really love the fencing team. It's
Wonderful.
truly an amazing team. Going to practice and the meets, it's so fun. Just interacting with everyone is so fun, and it's just great.
Thank you.
Hi, I'm James Greenslade. I'm in 9th grade. And one thing that I really like about doing fencing is that I'm able to connect with the other schools, which otherwise I wouldn't have been able to meet them.
Great. Thank you.
Hi, my name is Donovan Russell. I've been head captain for 3 years. Also, I don't know if Marissa mentioned, Marissa's also co-head captain. But it's just amazing seeing the determination some of us have put into the sport. This team, even when I got here first, it was way smaller. I don't think we ever placed above 5th place. Never got on the podium before. And just seeing the amount of effort and work, especially some of the people right here, right now, put in, go to club, do extra work that they can then use and apply here. I don't know, it's just amazing to see how much people have grown to love the sport.
Wonderful. Thank you, guys. Before you step down, we want to get a picture of you with. Is that everyone?
Oh, no, I was just going to say, I wanted to also mention, because Mr. Smith brought it to my attention, we're actually one of 9 schools out of the 87 in Section 1 that have fencing, and only 3 sections in New York State actually do fencing.
Wow.
So it's great that we get to do it. And what Marissa and Sarah also forgot to mention is that not only are they all section athletes this year, they were number 1 and number 2 in the section. Out of all the girls that fence. They had the 2 highest win rates in the
Great.
section.
That's really awesome.
And one of our kids also, Ben, who's not here right now, he also had the 5th highest win rate. So this is our first year having all section athletes and not just honorary.
That's amazing. Thank you guys for all of your hard work. Quick question before you step down. I just need a hand raised. Who took fencing classes before you came here? Before you came to Woodlands and did fencing, who took fencing class? Who was exposed to fencing? Had some opportunity to play fencing? None of you. I love it. This is education at its best. It's more than just math and science. It's also extracurricular, right? So thank you guys so much for your hard work, and thank you for continuing to excel. Can we get a photo with you guys? Okay. Yes, are they maybe on the risers? I don't know who could take the photo. Ivy, maybe can you take it for them? Do you want to take it? Do you have your... Are we taking it with them? We got to... Okay, we're coming down.
Me either.
Okay, thank you guys for your time. Next we have public comment section. Are there any public commenters? Great. Yes, we have Ahmad Ramsey. Am I reading that correctly? Did I pronounce your name correctly? That's okay. Do you have the mic? You have to turn the mic on. You'll have 4 minutes to speak, okay?
Hello?
Hello.
Okay. Hi, guys. My name is Ahmad. I work for Chestnut Market. We have a location down the block here. It's 381 Kenla Road. And the location down there raised for you guys $975 for donations. And we've actually done it across 80 locations between New York, New Jersey, Connecticut, part of a program called Exxon Pump for a Cause. So every 3 cents per gallon was used toward donation for schools, and we were able to raise across all 3 states $62,500 for schools. So thank you, guys. Thank you.
Wonderful, thank you. Let's get another photo. Is Mr. Smith on the side there? I'm sorry. Let's get a photo you handing that check to Mr. Smith. Because it's for the Woodlands Middle High School, right? I think so. He said, I'll take it. Thank you so much, Ivy.
Last time it was just for Woodlands. This is just for the district. I know. Oh, no. Your mic is on. You think I heard? No, it won't go off.
Okay, and okay, so next public comment, I'm going to, probably at the chagrin of our attorney, I'm going to step off the stage and leave the board dais. Trustee Valen, as Vice President, is going to run this part of the meeting, and I'm going to make a public comment as a resident. Thank you.
Are there any other public comments? Yes, I see Ms. Tracy Mayers.
Good evening, Board of Education, Superintendent Iverson, and the staff of Woodlands Middle High School. This is not usual nor common, but it is something that has come up before by a prior board member, and her name was Cora Carey. She was a resident here in the Greenburgh Central School District for many, many years. She served on the board in 2 separate serving terms, and because she lived here and she used to work here and she was a grandparent here, there were times that she would step off of the dais and come down and make a comment, and we had many conversations about that in executive session because legal will tell us we should not be doing that. But Ms. Cora Carey passed away a little over a week ago, and she was one of my mentors, so it is very personal to me, but it should also be very important to the rest of the Greenburgh community that attends the schools here, the parents that send their kid and attend the school here, and people watching from home, because, as I keep looking at the clock, we call that the Cora Carey clock. Cora Carey was a strong advocate for the community. She was tenacious, is the word that was used. She demanded that people who were not heard were heard very often. That was the special needs community, as well as the children of color, specifically Black children. She was a very strong advocate for the early childhood program, and she never let the board get past any discussion without considering the early childhood program and special needs children. She has been off the board now since 2021, I believe. 2021. And the board service, because when I'm not on the mic, I'm on the Board of Ed, is very unique. It can be a little isolative because you cannot talk with people about things that are happening on the board. It's an experience that you probably cannot explain, and the pay is zero. You spend a lot of time away from your friends and family. It's an awful lot of reading. Sometimes it's an awful lot of arguing in the boardroom, and only board members who have served, I think, understand this volunteerism. Sometimes you have to deal with things with staff that you like very much, but something may happen. Sometimes staff that you don't like very much you have to support, which is very frustrating. Sometimes you find out things and you can't talk to your neighbors or your parent friends, so it can be very isolative. There were many, many times. Cora was 87 years old, and I would call her and tell her I can't stand the board. Sorry, guys, not just this year. And she would say, well, that's just too bad. You're not there for the board. You're there for the children. You speak up. You continue to advocate. She would say, don't worry, baby girl, as long as you're doing what you need to do for the children, you continue to speak up. So I am going to miss her. And I just wanted to take my full 4 minutes to honor her. And I am going to ask for a moment of silence when I get back up there. But the community needs to know you would not have had a full 4 minutes to speak to the Board of Ed without Ms. Cora Carey, because she was tenacious, and whatever board she was on that started it, David was probably there at the time, she was gonna make sure that the community got a full 4 minutes. So thank you to Cora Carey's family for sharing her with us over these years. That's it. And I'm back now as board president, and don't worry, Carol, I will not do that again. I do want to ask for a moment of silence, just a minute, to please give to honor the life and the service of Ms. Cora Carey. Thank you. Thank you. We will move on in the agenda unless someone else has something to say. Yes, Trustee Warner?
Sure, I just want to read this little piece. Cora wrote a little quote that she put in her obituary. Hey, y'all, please celebrate my life. I lived a wonderful life, and I want you to be upbeat and thankful that I lived so long. Love you much.
Thank you, David. Next, we have on the agenda the Woodlands Middle High School presentation. Is everyone here from Woodlands Middle High School? I saw Mr. Smith. Great. Do you need us to, should we go down? Yes? Okay, we're coming down.
Thank you, Mr. Parker. Well, good evening to our Board of Ed President, Ms. Mears, Ms. Vallon, our Vice President, Board of Ed Trustees, our Superintendent, Dr. Chase, our Assistant Superintendent of Curriculum Instruction, Dr. Njuku, our Assistant Superintendent of Business, Ms. Raymond, and of course to my Woodlands faculty and staff that came out this evening. I really appreciate you guys. I want to pause and just recognize them since they're here, so we know who is happen to stop by, and I'll make sure you're here tomorrow morning in 12 hours. Don't be late. We have Ms. Rella, our ELA lead teacher, Mr. Lotto, our E&L educator, Ms. McKeel, our special ed lead teacher, Mr. Gaines, our social worker, Ms. Weir, our technology teacher, Ms. Fiella, our Spanish teacher. I think you and Ms. McKeel are the most tenured teachers. You look great, that's what I'm saying. Okay. Mr. Wu, our math teacher here, middle school math teacher, and our senior class advisors, Mr. Nowak and Ms. Amaya. These two wonderful individuals will be taking our kids to Orlando with Board of Ed approval. I will not be going, but we'll be in contact with each other while they're down there. So thank you for coming out this evening. We're going to present tonight. I have to pause and thank Dr. Iverson for her foresight with our PLC-LT, with our professional learning communities leadership team, which is comprised of all principals and GTF members from pre-K through 12. That gave us a shared vision, which allowed us to have vertical articulation, vertical alignment from pre-K through 12, and also gave us a laser-like focus to ensure we have sustainable programs and continuums. So I have to thank Dr. Iverson and our coaches, Ms. Kelly Gillen, and also Ms. Lori DeAndrea for that vision and their support. So today, this is the year of sustainability. I know for Lunar New Year, we're in the year of the snake, but at Woodlands Middle High School, in year of sustainability. Our IB programs are sustaining and they're excelling. Our kids are doing extremely well in IB. Makes it more competitive whenever they're applying to colleges, and they go enter college with college credits. Some begin second semester freshman year. Some even enter college as sophomores. So that's a huge cost savings for any parent or any son that's sending their son or daughter off to college. And again, we're doing it at Woodlands Middle High School. Again, I must pause and toot our horn. Similar to fencing, one of 9 out of 87, Mr. McCoy, 87 Section 1 schools, one of nine across the United States that has a K through 12 continuum in IB. And I don't know how many schools have Mandarin, but I know we're one of a few schools that have Mandarin. So again, we're doing wonderful things at Woodlands Middle High School, and we couldn't do it without the support of Superintendent and the Board of Education. For us, it's important that we continue to sustain building our student discourse. Student discourse allows us to get kids talking. Oftentimes during class, teachers go old school way, stand there, lecture. We need our kids talking. We need to understand that they understand what the lesson that's being delivered. So student discourse is huge for us. And our staff does a phenomenal job by having Good Fridays, Feel Good Fridays, which is like softball questions. What's your favorite basketball team? And kids start talking. Because a lot of times kids come into class and they'll sit there the entire period and not say one word. They'll be compliant, but they will not say one word. So we want to get them talking, and it's important that they start developing these communities inside the school and inside the classroom. So our teachers do a phenomenal job with Feel Good Fridays. Our SEL activities, these are complimentary cards. You're supposed to give it right on the card, give somebody a compliment. Say, Ms. Valiant, you look great today. That fuchsia sweater is wonderful on you. Looks great on you. Get kids talking again so they also know their classmates, because oftentimes, believe it or not, Woodlands is a very small school, but oftentimes we want them to make the connection with every student in their classes. Self-awareness. This is our next task that we're taking on this year. Mrs. Enriquez is going to speak with us about self-awareness and what does it mean to you and to our students.
Good evening, everybody. Oh, come on, it's only 8:15 now. Okay. So, self-awareness. We were given a directive from our PLCLT groups, and one of it was to grow or build on what we started last year, which was our SEL, and build on that and now focus on what self-awareness is. So overall, if I were to ask you what is self-awareness, what would be the first thing that would pop into your head? Anyone? What are your emotions? What else? What's the first thing that comes to your mind when you think of self-awareness? Know thyself. Very good. So those are the things that we want the students not to reflect on and to think about now in their classes. It's not something that has to be done every single day, but it's something that should be embedded in their lessons. And we were surprised on our last PLC-LT meeting how many activities that teachers are already doing on self-awareness in their classrooms that they were not aware of. So when the discussion started of what is self-awareness and how is it embedded in the classroom, so many teachers were able to give right off the top of their head so many examples that that's already what we are doing. So this year we are going to focus on the areas of self-awareness, which are strengths and weaknesses and emotional intelligence. So the next couple of slides are simply of what we are doing. To kick off this event, Ms. Servideo, our middle school guidance counselor, along with Ms. Rebecca Roth, our PBS staff, started this during lunch periods 4, 5, and 6. And they called it the Kickoff the Jar of Hearts. So this simply means that they were given nice little hearts. They set up the tables right outside the cafeteria, and they had students come down and sit with them, and they talked about what self-awareness was with them. And then they took it a step further and started asking them questions about, what do you like about yourself? What is something that you love about yourself? How do you show love? So these are some questions that they had, and the students wrote them on the hearts. And now we're in the process of Mr. Video, Ms. Lori Luwanga, and Ms. Rebecca Roth are going to put those hearts in a bulletin board around the classroom so the kids could see it. So that was our big kickoff for the year. So this is what the hearts look like. And the kids were really motivated. I love to see, as a mother of 3 boys, I love to see the boys when they wrote, "I love my mom." I thought that was great. And how they show love to their parents. Now we're gonna show you some videos also. The first video is something that is wonderful that Ms. McKeel does with Mr. O'Donoghue's classroom, with Mr. Leo's classroom, and Mr. Moon's classroom, that they have a socialization among the classrooms. This is just one example in which Ms. Mary McKeel brought down students down to was it Mr. Moon's classroom? Mr. Moon's classroom, just for them to play games with the other students.
Luke, we're ready.
Got the tree right here. Tree. We have a frog. We have a frog. We have a dog.
So these are a few of our gen ed students in with our life skills students as peer mentors. They go in there, again, to develop relationships, to ensure every student that walks through our hallways feel most comfortable and most welcome.
So again, it was a discussion with the students on self-awareness, on what makes you feel good, what do you like to do, what do you enjoy doing, you enjoy working with other students. Here you are working with this particular, it's growing empathy also for others. Now this is self-awareness in the math classes. We're ready. The first slide is going to be on Mr. Mensch, who's going to explain how he's using self-awareness in his classes.
Good evening, everyone. Todd Mensch here, lead teacher, math department in Woodlands Middle Senior High School. The videos you're about to see, the first one or second one, is a group of students who are displaying their certificates in first, second, and third place for the American Math Competition, AMC 8, that took place here beginning of February. About 300,000 students in the United States and abroad take part in this. It's one of the opportunities that we provide for our students here, comparing ourselves with the nation and the world, if you will, in terms of math ability. Second to that is a copy of the or an opportunity to look at our testing. So 3 times a year in the high school and 3 times a year in the middle school, we take math assessments which chart progress and growth and gives the opportunities to teachers to reflect on that data, and the students and parents to reflect on that data, and we can make necessary adjustments to obviously help with progress in terms of that. So those are a couple of videos today. Just some of the things here we do at Woodlands Middle High School in the Department of Mathematics. Thank you very much. All right, here are our participants and our first, second place winners of the AMC 8, which is a global math contest that we participated in this year. So I'm going to ask Michael, who earned first place here at Woodlands, to tell me a little bit about his thoughts on the test.
It was pretty difficult, but I just tried to do my best and just persevere through the test.
Excellent. And Katarina, how about yourself?
I agree with Michael, and it took a lot of endurance.
Sounds great. Well, we do appreciate it. Hopefully we make this a yearly event here in Woodlands. So thanks, everybody. Okay, so we are doing our second round of NWEA testing this week. A couple of students in the 8th grade honors algebra class. A couple questions that I have for them. First question I have is, why are we doing the testing today, Olivia?
To see what we learned from the beginning of the year, how we've grown.
Okay. And then Sebastian, this is our second time that we've taken this test. We took it in September, late September. Now we're looking at it again here in February. Are you finding questions on this that you couldn't answer first time and now you can answer them since we've gone in the curriculum?
Yes. For example, last time there was some questions on graphing inequalities that I had no idea how to do, but now I've done some more practice with them, and the questions I've been able to answer.
Great. All right, thanks. Looking forward to the results. Thanks, guys.
So Mr. Mensch also shared that what he's been doing also after the students have their exam, he gives them a couple of minutes to review their exams with them and to reflect on the questions that they got correct, the questions that they got wrong, and why did they get it wrong, why did they get it correct, what questions they feel more comfortable with, and what should they do better next time to improve their grades. So that's something that he's asking his classes after an exam. Oh, this is something that, I'm sorry, Luke, hold on for a second. Miss Rella came up with this great idea. She combined together for middle school students to go in and to read along with her high school HLIB classes, and combined it together with to celebrate Black History Month, in which they read articles or short articles and poems and writings about great Black African leaders.
That it strengthens your reading abilities and your reading skills. And we know that you have that ELA exam coming up in April. Okay? So with your partner, if we have to pair 2 or 3 middle school students with a high school student, you'll be fine. No one will be alone. Okay? You're going to read that poem to them. And that high school student's going to help you if you struggle on any words or anything. Afterwards, that high school student will go over if they see any literary elements in that poem with you. So if they see any themes of maybe freedom, or oppression or overcoming adversity or dreams or any characterization or any imagery, they'll be the facilitator and they'll point that out to you. Okay? And then afterwards, you can have a little Q&A. So you can ask that high school student, who's now your mentor, okay, your facilitator, any questions that you want about academics. So about being a high school student, what it's like being a senior in terms of academics, or a student athlete, because the student part always comes first. Okay, by the way, I'm Ms. Rella, okay? My seniors, this is Ms. Menick. All right, so just very briefly also, I just want my kids, we'll start with Benjamin. I just want my kids to briefly go around, say your name, say your ethnicity, and say if you happen to speak another language fluently. Okay? Go ahead, Benjamin, start us off.
My name is Benjamin.
So again, in the effort to sustain programs as a middle schooler, this is something you look forward to when you enter high school in Ms. Rella's IB/HL class as a senior. So our middle schoolers now look forward to it. Ms. Rella, thank you. It was a wonderful idea. Luke, we're ready for the next video.
And then toward the center aisle where bamboo fire, the chef rolls, and the wine mouth with a smile. And then underline
against
I'm sorry, can I just say one thing? The maturity level of my wonderful middle schoolers was amazing during that day. I was so impressed with them on how they sat there, listened, and you should see their eyes were all nice and wide looking at these high school students. It was so nice to enjoy. It's something that we definitely have to do again. I'm sorry. This one is Miss Manny. So Miss Manny gave a project called the Tiny House Project to her middle schoolers, her 8th grade class. And what she got was, when she introduced the project, oh God, you gotta be kidding, I don't wanna do this. And they were all complaining they did not want to do it. So she came up and she's like, should I just do the project? And I might see how it goes. Well, she had to record them because you'll see the result of how they felt after doing the project from first. So then she turned it into a self-awareness class of how you felt at first and then how you felt after you finished the project.
Miss Manny gave us a tiny house project, and at first none of us wanted to do it or liked it. And so first we used SketchUp and Tinkercad to create our vision of what we wanted our house to look like. And then we started gathering materials and 3D printing to create the little house here. So we have, like, this is the kitchen, we have the table, and some stuff we use like cardboard to make like couches, a TV, a coffee table, 3D printed a bed, and then we have a sink, a toilet, and a shower.
Miss Manny made us do this house, and we didn't like this idea at first, as what Eva Lee said, but then as we kept doing this, I started liking it,
And we used Tinkercad and SketchUp to do this. And you can see that I use paper and cardboard to make my house. And in it, all I used was cardboard to make my furnitures. So like my little table. And for my windows, I use plastic bags. So it looks like a window. And my door, I use some straws and a hot glue gun.
Miss Manny had us do this tiny little house project, and none of us liked it at first, but now we started to like it more. For my house, I use cardboard, craft sticks, and Miss Manny 3D printed stuff. This is my bed, a vanity, nightstand, chair, another chair, table, TV, and the wardrobe.
All right. Good evening, everybody. So our MBK program is in full swing. I want to extend a thank you to our board, Dr. Iverson, Dr. Njoku, Ms. Raymond, for all your support in launching our MBK program. But a special thank you to Mr. Gaines, who without his direction and support, this wouldn't have been possible. So Mr. Gaines, thank you very much for everything you do for our boys and our girls here at Woodlands Middle High School, and throughout the rest of our district as well, because we know MBK permeates all of our schools in our district. So MBK, we have been prepping and planning since November. We are now fully funded and very comfortable moving forward with our program. So on our slide, Mr. Gaines has been working tirelessly getting our summer school participants, our summer MBK camp participants through some MBK activities prior to this point. One of them was our MBK Alliance Toy Drive, in which our students were able to donate 118 toys and received a certificate of recognition by the Westchester County executives. So thank you, Mr. Gaines, and congratulations to our students on that. In their counterpart, we have launched our Good for Girls program. Our Good for Girls program, we have currently 12 young ladies in this program. It runs on Tuesdays after schools and a Saturday a month. In this program, our girls are doing many of the things our young men will do, but what they also do is they also end up building their own business from the ground up and piloting that. A lot of our girls that are either interested in business or already in BOCES, lining up with the business world or taking advantage of the Good for Girls program as a leg up and a step in the right direction and kind of catapult them into their next steps after they leave here. So our Good for Girls program is alive and kicking and running, and they're doing great things down there.
Also, Ms. Varsity recognized that every month we share with Bailey. So 1 month is a Bailey student, 1 month is a student from Woodlands Middle High School. That's recognized by the Hartsdale Greenburgh Rotary Club. And this year, our very own Adalia Valencia was recognized. And as you could read there, what the teacher had said about her dedication here to school. So this is something else very nice that our students are being recognized here in Greenburgh School District. And another district-wide initiative was the No Place for Hate. This is another thing that took place during our lunch periods, period 4, 5, and 6. Again, our PBS staff did a wonderful job with taking this off the ground, and our students just jumped in, as you could see, and decorating. And they created this wonderful, I call it a falcon. They're always correcting me what type of bird it is. I thought it was with the feathers about, as you read there, it's a student-led initiative in order to, against bias, bullying, and inclusion for all students. So that's also right next to the cafeteria. If you're in the building, it's wonderful to see what the students have written in each of their wings. It's very inspirational, and we could also learn from them. This is just the beginning. I'm giving a sneak peek for our PLC LT meetings, but we are filling it up with, again, our directive for self-awareness and what it looks like in the buildings. We have combined, we have a middle school and the high school, and this is what we're doing so far. As you could see at the end, where it says C's action, error analysis is what Mr. Mensch is using in his classrooms with the exams. The glow and grow is something that Ms. Rella is using in the ELA department. So when the students go back and read their assignments, they write something that they're proud of and something that they glow, and then also something that they still need to work on and grow on. So this is just the beginning.
Thank you. Any questions?
Okay, trustees, who has questions usually? I know you usually have questions. You have one? I know.
The question I always ask. We're post-COVID. We've done several years of striving to do the things that we were doing unconsciously all along, but then we had a deficit of the 3 years or so during which kids were, isolated. And are we back?
Well, we're back.
Are we beyond back?
I think we are getting there. One initiative that we did launch a few years ago with cell phone policy, right? Because during COVID, a lot of our students got lost in, I call it, electronic world. They kind of go in that world, and they kind of go into silos, just deal with whatever is on the screen and just deal with themselves. But what we found is that when the cell phones go away at Woodlands Middle High School, you see more kids having conversations. In the lunchtime, you come to lunch tables, sitting there around the circular table having conversations. In the hallway, they're having conversations. Have we had challenges with the cell phone? Absolutely we have. Because that is their life. That is their lifeline. That's what they're accustomed to. And that comes through COVID. So we're trying to reverse that effect. I think we are being effective right now. It's not 100% yet. Still kids take it out during the day, Mr. Head and other teachers remind them to put it away, give them one warning, second warning, then it's taken for the rest of the day, give them to them at 2:45. The second time it's taken, the parents have to come in, and any subsequent time after, parents have to come in and get it. I think we're back and better, to be honest with you, because it's given us a lot of time to launch programs like for students to be self-aware, for our staff to build student discourse. So I think we're back and we're better, yes.
Thank you.
Hi, am I talking? I love the SEL. My question is there ever an opportunity for student feedback? So if there's activities and there's an overwhelming comment leaning towards dislike or like from students?
So the No Place for Hate campaign, that actually came from students. They came to Ms. Roth, and she launched the idea along with Mr. Gaines. We do get student feedback. Our students here are not shy to express themselves, but do we get the data that we need? It's just us having a conversation. I expressed to you that I liked the idea, I didn't like the idea, but there are some programs that we do offer a survey to get feedback and understand if it was successful or not successful.
You have your Wednesdays, open chats. How are you getting lots of students on that? How is that going?
It seems like I'm getting the same students over and over again that want one particular thing, and it's not going to happen. But I commend them for being resilient and coming in there and remaining steadfast in what they believe in. I explain to them every week that why it's not going to happen. But I wish more students would come and take advantage of it.
Thank you. I wanted you to maybe introduce everyone that's there too. I know you guys did your presentation, but I think there's a lot of people here. You can.
Okay. Well, we all know Mr. McCoy, our athletic director extraordinaire, keeps the athletic program running and highly functioning. We have some phenomenal teams this year, and thank you under Mr. McCoy's guidance. So we do appreciate that. I think Mr. McCoy, playoffs for basketball begin tomorrow. The girls are 5 o'clock at Dobbs, and the boys are 7 o'clock here. All right? And if they win, they go to the county center next on Sunday. Thank you, sir.
Wonderful. Okay.
Yes.
And Ms. Henriquez is the middle school.
Miss Enriquez is the middle school slash, I just call her slash. She does everything. So, yeah, she helps out with everything.
Okay.
And we all know Dean of Climate and Culture, Mr. Head, who's made a major impact this year.
Your newer staff. He's newer.
He's new this year. He's made a major impact. He came with some phenomenal ideas for student engagement. Students respect him, and they listen to him, and sometimes they run the other way when they see him, so that's a good thing. And I
Thank you.
Well, we all know Dr. Iverson sitting there also. I don't think.
That would be it. Thank you so much.
yeah.
Is there, now I'm going to, I always ask you this question. It's budget time, Mr. Smith. And we saw, the board has saw the wish list. It's a wish list. If there's one thing, not to put you on the spot again, but I'm going to ask you, if there's one thing from the board that you really need, what would it be?
I just need the board to continue to support the students here. When things are asked, I know it's a financial hurdle sometimes, but they're asked for our students. Like, we're finally getting the science labs done, which is phenomenal, because our students need the science labs. I mean, those science labs are from 1960. Our students cannot compete now in the global market with a 1960 science lab. Our students need, I don't know if I should continue going here.
What? Only one thing. If you had for your, I know you got a whole wish list. We're getting the science labs. Pick something. Go ahead.
Windows.
Okay. We need windows. Okay, we heard you. Thank you.
Thank you.
Any other questions, trustees? Hearing none. Thank you so much, Mr. Smith. Wonderful presentation. Okay, board, next on our agenda is our budget presentation. Should we stay here, Ms. Raymond? Yes, okay. Thank you, Luke.
Okay, so thank you again, Mr. Smith. Great presentation.
Dr. I, please begin anytime. They're getting the copy of their budget.
You said begin?
You please.
Oh, okay, good. Okay, thank you, Trustee Mayor. So, good evening, Greenburgh community. I'm Dr. Iverson, the superintendent. I'm here joined by the two assistant superintendents who I work very closely with, Ms. Raymond, who is my assistant superintendent of business, and Dr. Njoku, who's assistant superintendent of curriculum, instruction, programs, and personnel. Ms. Raymond also handles personnel. So we're here tonight to present to the board the 25, and to the community, 2025-2026 budget presentation. So you heard tonight, if you were listening, you just heard the high school do their presentation around the wonderful programs happening there. And the word sustainability, you heard many, many times. This is our key word this year. This is our theme, for lack of a word or expression this year. It is around how we are sustaining our work, our practices, our systems, so that this becomes the way we do business all the time. So as we approach the budget, my team and I, we wanted to stay true to that theme. We were looking and starting to think about how do we sustain a budget now where we sustain our programs, our staffing, our systems and processes. So throughout this process, I'm going to be explaining to you. You're going to see and hear the word sustain a lot, because what we think we're going to present to you tonight is a budget that completely does not change the instructional programs that we offer here in Greenburgh Central District, can enhance many of them with very minimal cost. So, you know, we approach everything. We're educators, we're teachers, we're former, been in classrooms, and we always begin everything we do thinking about our purpose. Why are we doing this? Why is the budget so important? And so I wanted to highlight these verbs that we've begun each of these 4 bullets with in bold, because what we wanted to do to the community is demonstrate to you how allocated resources support the vision, mission, and goals of the district. That is where we start everything. Does it connect to our strategic plan? Does it connect to the goals? Is it about our students? We approach everything from that lens. If not, we don't discuss it. We also thought we wanted to present a budget to our board and our community that, here's the word, sustains at least all of our current instructional programming. We're not looking to change any programming in this budget. We wanted to also sustain our current staff, and we wanted to also sustain our current resources that we are using in the district to support our instructional program. We wanted to share with you, and we will in this presentation, share with you the impact of some of the things that impact the budget, specifically enrollment, in terms of how we have to make decisions. And then at the very end, I'm going to come back and be recommending to the board and the community what, as the superintendent of schools, what I propose for the budget to be adopted by the board. And vision. So vision, as we think about it, is where we see ourselves, where we want to go. You know, we worked very hard, many, many, many days and evenings working on this budget, because we knew we were coming to present a budget to support all of our top instructional priorities, maximize our resources, to ensure the district and staff needs are reflected, while also being good stewards of your dollars. We also wanted to, whenever possible, to show you tonight where we have identified areas of cost savings with repurposed dollars, the same dollars, and reallocated those dollars, here again, to sustain current instructional programs into our classroom. And the proposed budget represents that significant savings that you will see tonight. We also we're pleased now to present to you the proposed Greenburgh Central School District budget of $84,158,498 for the 25-26 school year, which is under the tax cap. And the estimated district school tax levy increase, as we will walk you through later on in slides, for a single-family home assessed at $707,400 is an increase of $433.35. And our beliefs. Because why do we do this? Because we do this because we know all our decisions we make, budgetary, instructional, must be made through a filter of what's best for kids. We want to continue to ensure that district and school staff professional learning and instructional needs are supported. I think if you heard Mr. Smith talk about the PLC-LT teams, that is our professional learning structure here. We are meeting this Thursday, in fact, and through that learning, you've heard Mr. Smith say how a lot of good learning and instruction has happened in the district. We want to sustain that. That's important because it is a filter and helps our students. And all the money allocated here, we have decided when we met, it must support the vision, mission, goals, and the district strategic plan. So that's all the preliminary sort of discussion we have before we even start looking at numbers, before we start looking at where to repurpose. We spend a lot of time talking and thinking about what do we want to do, what is our vision, what are our goals, what do we believe, to stay true to that. And here it is, our 5 areas of the strategic plan. Actually, the budget supports all of these areas. But we know ultimately it's about students first, and what we're proposing tonight is going to continue to support our students in the area of student success. And our goals then very specifically was to do this, were to do this. Again, verbs starting off each sentence. So as I talked to my team, we said, what do we want to do? What are our goals? Well, we want to develop a budget to continue to meet the objective in controlling the annual budget increase. We wanted to identify our top instructional priorities and maximize all our resources to achieve them. We explored ways to creatively trim our budget so that we sustain, again, the current programs and not cost any additional funding. Repurpose where we could monies from existing dollars to increase instructional programming and options to students. Remain fiscally responsible to you and delivering what our students need academically, socially, and emotionally to be successful. And here again, sustain, as we have here in Greenburgh, according to all the data that has been presented to the community so far, we have high-quality educational program here with resources and the current academic programs while staying within the tax levy cap. So that is the preface before we get into the actual budget, how we approach this process very comprehensively and very thoroughly. And major drivers, I talked to the team about what drives the budget, and so you to know when we're doing this work, we know these are the drivers or the things we need to keep in mind as we're building it. You know, we know contractual salary increases drives the budget. We know that that's a part of it, that in 24-25 school year, the year we're in right now, the district, we had some negotiated contracts, so there were some increases there that drove the budget in terms of what we had to do this year. We're entering now negotiations with our GAO at the end of this year as it expires. That's driving the budget you're going to see. The GCSO, which is our civil service organization, also the fees and salaries and those contracts drive the budget in terms of we have to be cognizant of it as we're building the budget. That's in terms of driving what we do. There will be an increase in employee benefits. The expected increase, as you'll see, in health insurance is 8.97%. Student enrollment and program mandates, we're going to share with you how enrollment is driving this budget. We have in certain grades, and the driver shortage and transportation cost increases. These are things we must consider every year when we're building the budget. Even with our vision, our mission, our goals, this drives a lot of the numbers that you're going to see tonight as we get into the budget. And also, I put this up here, the New York State Executive Budget. It's the budget we get from our governor. You know, sometimes we have to wait on that budget and we have to use the funds that are allotted to us. So we just put this here to let the public know that the governor's propensity sometimes to propose mandates, which a lot of them are coming down, come without funds in the school districts. And we have to still make sure those mandates are included. And sometimes they present an undue hardship on districts already experiencing fiscal challenges, such as adjustments to foundation aid. We know the foundation aid has been an ongoing conversation. We're looking for that formula to finally to be fair and equitable for all schools and all districts, but it does connect to declining enrollment and district reserves. And many districts, like in this community, we are demonstrating growth, and sometimes the dollars aren't coming with that. We emphasize that even with fewer students, today's public schools fulfill a broader scope of community needs requiring sustained funding. The needs have changed in schools. We just need more. Students need more. Sometimes those dollars don't come to support that, and districts are still mandated to ensure that we are meeting that governor's mandate. Unfunded mandates continue to come to districts. We have several coming down the pike that are in legislation right now, and districts have to be very cognizant of that as they build their budgets, but that presents a challenge to us as we're working around this. And we never know the unpredictable nature of our retirement systems. So these are things also that come down from the state that we have to be cognizant of when we're building the budget. So now we're going to share the enrollment impact on this budget. I'm going to have Dr. Njoku come up and go over the enrollment slides at this time.
Thank you, Dr. Iverson. Good evening. So one of the drivers of the budget that Dr. Iverson spoke about is enrollment data. So, yes, it's okay. Enrollment data. So enrollment data, in framing our minds to make decisions, the data of enrollment is needed just to make decisions. So what I have up here and what we have is current and projected student enrollment are crucial in making informed budget decisions. We wanted to look to answer two questions to kind of guide us as we're looking at the data. One is around physical space. Are our school facilities equipped to accommodate the number of students we expect? And then regarding personnel, do we have enough certificated staff to meet the growing needs of our students? So by analyzing that, it then helps us make decisions and start to think towards next steps in building the budget. So looking at the data in the first question being about physical space, are our school facilities equipped to accommodate the number of students we expect? So looking here, the chart shows that this year's enrollment in each of our school campus sites, and this is point in time data, so it does shift from day to day, so it's based on a point in time. So looking at that enrollment and then comparing it to what we project for next year in terms of student counts. And then the column next to it says change, so that's the difference between the two and then the percent change. But if we look at the column around change, we can see there in starting to answer that question that there is going to be an increase 17 students in LF Jackson, which is close to building a classroom, right? And then we see that there are some decreases here and there, generally. So that is moving towards a question around, do we have sufficient space? It doesn't fully answer the question, which brings us to the next slide. So in looking at this next slide, this is not just looking solely at student enrollment, it's also looking at programming. So having initial conversations, which we have to have now, could they change as we move forward? Of course, but we need point-in-time data to make decisions, to drive the budget, to make stronger decisions. So looking at the programming, looking at the rollover of students, looking at the actual potential program instructional needs for those that might require accommodation. So looking at that, this is looking at the campuses, and you'll see that in early childhood and Lee F. Jackson, both UPK are there because now the question is moving more towards, space. So looking at the space from this year, we had the enrollment for 24-25, and next to it are the sections, and those are the classes. Right? So that's the actual use of the space. And then we compare it to next year, and then the question is placed at the very end, is there sufficient physical space? And all of them are yes, except for Lee F. Jackson, because Lee F. Jackson currently has 3 sections, 3 classes of UPK, and we would need to potentially move 1 section out of Lee F. Jackson because there was an increase in the K-1 special ed class, as you can see, compared from this year to next year. Now we're moving to Highview and also R.J. Bailey. All of these going through, give you a moment to take a look at the comparisons. Although there might be shifts here and there in terms of space, they add up where there is sufficient space, and the answer is yes on all of them. Finally, we move to Woodlands Middle High School. At present, they are building the master schedule, but based on the number of counts, the counts are sufficient as of right now for the space that we have. So going back, a major driver of the budget is looking at enrollment, then going further and looking at programming. That's answering question 1. Question 2, around enrollment and making determinations, is do we have enough certificated staff full-time, we expanded on this question, full-time employees, that's FTEs, to meet the growing needs of our students. Basically, is there currently sufficient funding for FTEs? So this would take just a bit of a moment to look at. So programming, we have the certificated FTEs, teachers, teaching assistants, pupil personnel, and administrators. Based on retirements, like the next section is vacancies, and vacancies are based and include retirements, unfilled vacancies from this year, and also proposed new vacancies due to student programming. So the total number of teachers would be, that we're looking for and that are vacant, are 11, teaching assistants 3, administrators 4. Within there, because of the shifts, if you remember from the previous slides, with programming, there are 2 potential internal transfers, which would net, for teachers, which would net a difference of 9 actual vacancies. But if we take into consideration the unfilled and vacancies, there actually is no impact to the district budget for 25-26 regarding teachers. For teaching assistants, however, based on programming, we will need 2 additional FTEs, which would need to be added into the budget. So hopefully that is clear. Once again, point-in-time data, and this is impact on 25-26 consideration of certificated staff vacancies. Now I'll turn it over to my colleague, Ms. Raymond.
Thank you, Dr. Njoku. So just to look at the tax cap again, we now know all of our numbers, if you remember from the last budget presentation. On the right-hand side, the 25-26 projected numbers, excuse me, the available carryover from the 24-25 school year. I had calculated that, but it hadn't been confirmed by the state comptroller at that time. It is now confirmed that the available carryover is $1,030,115. So the tax levy that we could do for a simple majority, which is 50% of the votes plus 1 yes, would be $72,188,018, which would be a 7.68% tax levy increase if you went that high. So next we're going to do the 25-26 superintendent's proposed budget. But we're going to start off with a couple slides just to explain some different items, different categories that lead into the budget presentation. So in this school year, in the 24-25, there were some impacts that will affect the 25-26 proposed budget because those are items that were in addition to this budget. So we had to hire some additional staffing during this school year to meet the needs of our students, and that involved hiring one-on-one teacher aides, an occupational therapist, a teacher secretary to comply with the GTF contract, some teachers and teaching assistants. We also incurred some expenses for an additional referendum vote that was held for the science labs and the water main project that passed, and we'll be starting, some of that work will be starting this summer. We had increases in student instructional programs needs to identify the needs of these students as mandated by SED. We had teacher shortages in certain content areas. We increased our substitute teacher rate, if you remember. We had some leave replacement costs, which are always unknown. For the most part, anything could happen during the school year. And we had some contractual obligations. So some examples, though, of additions that are added into the 25-26 budget. We would like to include an additional BCBA teacher position. We're going to replace our retirees with new hires. We would like to change our current restorative practices coordinator, change that position to an assistant principal at R.J. Bailey Elementary School. That position will assume responsibilities of both of those titles. And we'd like to hire an athletic trainer instead of contracting that work out. As you know, we've had a hard time getting a contractor or a firm to reply to our RFPs, so we would like to just have somebody on staff full-time instead. Next year is when we will be making the first installment payment of the energy performance contract, and we will go for a bond anticipation note to help us with beginning phase 2. As I had said in the past, I don't want to take the bond all in the first year for the phase 2 project, because then you'll have to start making payments immediately. Where if you take a bond anticipation note and just pay for the interest for the portion that you pay, for the portion that you take, and then in the second year, when the second phase begins, then you can turn that ban into a bond and take the rest of that payment. And then in the following school year is when your payments would start. I have also allocated funds in the Buildings and Grounds Department for smaller projects of $100,000 as they may come up. For example, you know, this past summer we did some of the bathrooms here at Woodlands Middle High School. It's for those types of small projects. We need to provide some funding for some of our instructional program fees, specifically, as we have spoken, Dr. Njoku has spoken about. We are going to have a site visit next year for our International Baccalaureate program, and we wanted to increase our ACT and SAT prep classes. And then it's always been spoken about to budget, please, for admission costs for elementary school field trips, and I have included that in the 25-26 budget. So where would we have reductions and reallocations of some of our funds? So as Dr. Njoku stated, we do have 2 vacant teaching positions that haven't been filled, and we would like to create a 12-1-2 class at LF Jackson, which would require hiring a special education teacher that would take one of these vacant positions. Converting 1 general education class to be an integrated co-teaching or an ICO class at LF Jackson, and again, hiring a special education teacher with one of those vacant positions. And Dr. Njoku is reviewing and exploring creating a dual language program at LF Jackson if that were to come to fruition. Now, the reduction in the debt service payment should be seen in our energy cost savings. Because the energy performance contract is not completed yet, I went back to our energy performance contractor and said, there's got to be something that we will be saving next school year that I would like to realize. So he, Mr. Pugliese, and I met and went over some of the numbers, and they tell us that we could save a little over $1 million in the work that is being done. So I've budgeted for that also, for that reduction in our energy costs. And then Dr. Njoku is thinking about and coming up with a way to redesign the Director of World Language, IB, and ENL with a new title that will maintain the integrity of the IB program while highlighting the crucial role of professional learning and instructional and excellence across all of the contents. So here is our 25-26 proposed budget. We're proposing a budget of $84,158,498. Now, as you can see from this, it's broken down into these object codes. The largest of any school budget is salaries and benefits. You'll see here that our salaries will be increasing by 3% and benefits by 2.08%. We're keeping equipment the same as it is this school year, but you'll see under supplies, which is where the gas, electric, fuel oil, natural gas, water, sanitation is all budgeted for under a supply code. This little more than $1 million difference in savings is due to the energy performance contract. Then our contractual expenses will be increasing by 2.31%. And that is all of our professional developments, our tuition, any other contractual items, contracts that we have. Our BOCES, as we've spoken about previously, will be increasing anywhere between 5 and 7.5%. And then our debt service, that increase there is for the energy performance contract and the bond anticipation note. Typically, we budget $25,000 for a tax anticipation note in case we would need to take that when we're collecting our school taxes. We haven't taken that in the last 4 years, so I did not include that this time in this proposed budget. And then the interfund transfer, we are proposing increasing that back up from where it had been in previous years to represent now a budget that would be a 3.84% budget-to-budget increase. So we would like to propose putting $1 million into the capital interfund transfer and transfer that money to a capital reserve to start accumulating money for any of those future larger projects that the Facilities Committee has spoken about. And our rationale for doing that is that I've built in funds in the Buildings and Grounds budget for smaller projects. We could build up the reserve for larger projects. And we currently have at least these 4 projects that will be underway, which is a lot of work that is being done around all of our campuses. We have the Phase 2 construction project. As you know, the roofs of R.J. Bailey and Woodlands Middle High School have begun. The tennis courts and the track will all be worked on also this spring and summer. The Highview 3rd grade window walls, that should begin around June, July. Our energy performance contract will still be in the works and will be done in the 25-26 school year. And in speaking with our architects, the water main project should begin within the next couple months. So we will be able to do some of this work and continue to do what has been approved by the taxpayers. So to balance out this budget, we have to show you the revenue side. And the largest of all of our revenue is what we're going to collect in our real property taxes. We are proposing a 4.06% tax levy increase. Our pilot payments, those are our payments in lieu of taxes for those companies, new companies that come into our district that make a arrangement with Westchester County IDA to have a reduced tax liability in order to come into our district, stay in our district, and provide services. Sales tax, I get a monthly report, and I've analyzed it over the last couple years, and I'm comfortable with increasing this by an additional $150,000. And then our tuition, this is for our health and welfare billing that we do to all of the students that attend private schools within our district for the LaFell School, Maria Regina, Sacred Heart, and Mohawk Country Day School. We bill those students' district of residency for their health and welfare, and there's also foster care billing in this, included in this dollar amount. As I've spoken to you before in the past, we've taken our money and put it in the New York Liquid Asset Funds, which is for municipalities to invest money to maximize the interest and earnings. And prior to the rates decreasing, I was able to lock in money at a higher interest rate. We did very well this past previous year, so we've increased the earnings by $500,000 here. I'm confident that we will earn at least $1 million in interest by investing this money. And then the state aid number that you see here, the $6.9 million, that is the executive proposal. That's the only numbers that we have or we know at this time. Nothing else has been released, but hopefully it will soon because the state's budget is coming to an end. And then other revenue, those are things such as Medicaid, insurance reimbursements, refunds, BOCES refunds, and the money that we apply from fund balance. So what would be the impact to the taxpayers with this budget? You'll see, as I said, we're proposing to increase the tax levy by 4.06%. You'll see that our assessment per the town of Greenburgh for our school district has increased from the 24-25 school year. which makes the tax rate per 1,000 lesser than it was this school year. But the average single-family home assessment has increased. And according to our town assessor, the Office of Real Property Services, and an independent company, they all get together and they analyze what's going on within our town. And the assessor has said that the home sales of homes in our district have increased. Therefore, they've increased the assessments of an average single-family home. So in this example, it went from $636,659 to $707,400, which represents an 11.11% increase. So a sample tax bill with this tax levy would increase by $433.35. And then I put broken down, this would be $36.11 per month, $8.34 per week, or $1.19 per day additional on top of what it was this year. But this budget and this tax levy sustains all of our staff and our programs.
So in summary, to support the school's budget, support to the school budget, we know, supports the entire community. The better our schools do, the better the community. And so we're soliciting support to this budget this year for the following reasons here. We want to sustain and make sure our students remain prepared for school and achieve and graduate when they're supported by families, communities, and everyone. So it's very important for the support there. We know schools can sustain and increase instructional programming when we have support to the budget. We can also increase spending on education to improve student achievement, which we have done here in Greenburgh Central School District because we've targeted increases in funding to help narrow the achievement gap between students post-COVID, which our data does indicate. And the better the schools are, the more businesses and families are attracted to the community. As Ms. Raymond and I have been around in the community talking to various stakeholder groups, that is our message to them, and that the better the community is working with us, the better the schools become, because the schools are part of the community. So when we move to the next slide here, we have some additional comments we wanted to share with you that we are still waiting on as we are still in the process of this budget development. We're still waiting on the final state aid figures. All districts are. We have not received those yet. This budget does represent everything that is needed to sustain the programs and staffing that we currently have to support our district. Further cuts, if further cuts would have to be made, these are some of the things that could be impacted: staffing, those programs, the capital interfund transfer, field trips, and some after-school transportation. Right now, all of those 5 bullets are sustained in the current budget we just presented. That ends our presentation. We are now going to open it up for discussion and questions.
Trustees, are there any questions?
And anyone can
see no. Trustee Valen? No. Along? Warner? No. Trustee Mans? Do you have questions? Okay. No questions right now.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. Trustees, we're going to return to our seats, please.
Trustee Maris,
Yes,
is the board going
sorry.
to give us any direction on where they would like to see us go with this, or is that something we're going to find out later?
Go ahead, Trustee Valen. I didn't know we were going to be asked for direction. It's hard because it's 9:30, so we had presentations. We still have a huge whole agenda. I don't know. I am going to see if the board wants to table some things on this agenda. I don't know if the board's in a place right now to make suggestions. Do you want to say something, Trustee Warner? Because you look like you're moving. So the signs are later in the, is that within the budget, the electronic signs?
The 2 electronic signs that we have been speaking about are in this school year's budget, already encumbered under equipment.
Okay, was there any other? Yes, Trustee Mans?
So in terms of the instructional programming, what line item is that in for programs?
Well, it could be under contractual or supplies.
Okay.
And salaries would be, obviously, under salaries.
Okay, so it's either one or the other. Okay. Now, if we wanted to see a breakout, are we privy to that at all?
Yes, and you will get that in your Friday packet.
Okay, all right.
But if you're looking for specific names of programs, no, that is not.
Okay.
That is not included in the detail, but we could get that for them.
I mean, do we have a reserve for programs that might pop up that are ad hoc or anything like that?
Not in this budget, no.
No, okay.
So if you want to think about it and let Dr. Iverson know.
When you're talking about direction from the board, what are you asking specifically?
So at the next board meeting, we would have nothing to present. This is the budget that Dr. Iverson is recommending to the board. So there wouldn't be, unless there's a change in state aid by that time, there's nothing left to present.
I mean, it's hard. We just received this earlier today, and as you know, I was running around, so I didn't get to look at it. Hearing this I do have some immediate reactions, but I don't really feel comfortable going through them because I want to really look at this further because, again, I wasn't able to see it beforehand. Yeah. She said the next. Yeah.
So we have 2 board meetings in March, 1 in April, then we go on spring break. When we come back from spring break, the April 22nd, you have to adopt a budget.
I think it might be helpful, at least for me, at our work session to really, drill down and get into the budget so we can do it a little more collaboratively. As opposed to the presentation and then we ask questions and give some direction, because I literally haven't been able to look through it. I got to tell you, as a person who lives here, I do have a little concern about the numbers. I'm trying not to. I have to look at them a little bit more. You said we were at 4.67%. What? I'm looking at the thing. Am I looking at the wrong?
The tax levy is at 4.06. That
4.06,
specific
okay. Thank you, sorry.
example. Every example will be different.
Will be different. Okay, sorry, I looked at the wrong number. So 4.06. So, I think we have our work session coming up. It might be helpful to kind of have, this information ahead of time. As you said, on Friday in our board packet, we're going to get more drilled down information and then
I'll give you a copy of that budget status report, but it will not have detailed programs or anything like that in it.
Mhm.
That's not what is part of that.
Mm-hmm. Yes, go ahead. I think we should definitely send questions, but part of the process is having this transparent discussion with admin and people seeing our process and understanding what we're asking, people being able to send questions in. Have you received any questions from the community? I know.
No.
On the website? No?
None.
Okay.
None.
So I don't want to ask questions in private and not, yeah. Yeah. Do you have a question? You're moving again. Go ahead.
Right. So you have your 4.06 and no layoffs, okay? Which at the 50,000 foot level, which is what we got, is what, that solves my top 2 priorities. I'm willing to, we have $1 million instead of $1.3 million in the transfer to capital. Okay, I'm willing to live with that because I don't want to lay anybody off. Okay, so I'm happy at this level. So we'll get a more detailed version of the budget, and we'll go line by line and look at it, and we'll see if there are other things that we have concerns about. But at this high level, I'm pleased.
So, correct me if I'm wrong, Dr. Iverson, we're not asking you to adopt this tonight. We're not asking that at all. We just want to be prepared for the March meeting. So if you want to look at it, think about it, and send some questions so that the three of us then can research it or get better information together for you, that's fine with
Okay.
me. But like I said, aside from this, unless state aid figures came in, there's nothing to present to you on March 11th.
Okay.
That's what I mean.
All right.
Okay? So, and then just
thank you.
real quick as a reminder, at the next board meeting, if state aid figures come in, then we will modify this. You'll send us any direction or questions or comments that you want or you have. And just a reminder that May 20th is the vote from 7 to 9 at the Woodlands Middle High School gym here in Hartsdale.
Awesome. Thank you, Ms. Raymond. Thank
Oh,
you.
and you can email me at budget@greenburghcsd.org if anybody has any questions.
Thank you.
I look at it daily.
Okay, great. Thank you.
Okay? All right, thank you.
All right, trustees, we're going to return to our seats to continue the agenda. Thank you. Okay, thank you, everyone. We're going to continue through our agenda. So the next item on our agenda is a policy presentation, but I'm going to ask our trustees if we could divert from that and forward to our ex officio student report, which is item D2. Is everyone okay with that? We do have a student
Yes.
here.
It's 9:43 at night. And Mr. Trayson, it is your turn.
Sorry. This February, we're honoring and celebrating cultural diversity with Black History Month. And today we had middle schoolers and high school students being visited by over 30 professionals in their classes today who shared experiences. Like today I had a prosecutor from the Westchester, the district attorney's office who came and talked about her experience in the field. Also, over 60 students have been preparing for our annual Black History Month assembly, and that's going to be this Friday, and it's open to the community. Family and community members are invited to attend. Other than that, I'm proud to recognize Mr. Washington, as he's been recognized by the New York State United Teachers for his contributions in science. His interview is available on the NYSUT YouTube, and the NYSUT is apparently it's the largest union in New York State. I didn't know that before. But it represents over 600 teachers, school-related professionals, academic, and professional faculty in higher education. And on behalf of the senior class, I'm pleased to put the spotlight on senior student athletes like Gisela Pollitt, who Gisela Pollitt, who was the first Woodlands female wrestler to be a final medalist in sectionals. She recently committed to New York University, which is very competitive. It's less than a 10% acceptance rate. Other than that, Daehan Chung was also a finals medalist in wrestling in sectionals, along with Matthew. Sorry, I'm forgetting his last name right now. But there was also Marissa Pollitt, who was here earlier with the foil team, and she was the captain. Also, there was a winners parade earlier this month to celebrate Christopher Duton, as he was selected by a professional soccer club to go out to Spain for a trial. And yeah, that was really impressive. And as a member of the soccer team, it was really inspiring, seeing as he worked the whole season and like he was a good leader. Also, last but not least, Sydney Guzman, she's heading to States for bowling, and that's really impressive as well. We're excited about our guidance department because several of our students have been accepted to college. They post weekly newsletters where they show where they have different college acceptances and the different scholarship amounts that the students have obtained. And other than that, the guidance department also posts weekly scholarships, and many students have won money and are able to afford college a bit easier with these scholarships. Like, for example, the Woodlands High School scholarship is one that's currently running, and there are various Key Club scholarships for seniors. It was mentioned earlier, but the Woodlands boys basketball and women's and girls basketball teams are heading into playoffs. Tomorrow, the boys basketball team is playing here, home, at 7 p.m., while the Lady Falcons are playing at 5 p.m. at Dobbs Ferry. And I think that's about it. Oh, sorry. Also, the drama club is also preparing for their play later in March, over the weekend of the 23rd, I believe. And yeah, that's it now.
Thank you so much, and thank you for hanging out with us so late. Is there any question or comment from other trustees?
I have a question. What time is the Black History Month celebration on Friday?
The Black History celebration, I believe it's supposed to be second and third period, which would be 9. It would start at 8:48, all the way to 10:30, and then 7th and 8th period would be 103 to 2:45.
Yeah. Okay. And then what day was the play again? I missed it. Was it March, you said?
I'll look at the calendar right now.
Yeah.
So.
Weekend.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, the weekend of March 22nd.
Okay. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Okay, we're going to return to our regular scheduled program and the agenda. I am going to ask the board about tabling other things moving forward. Thank you, Mr. Trayson. If you'd like, you can excuse us, or you can stay. You can stay as well. Okay. Next item on our agenda is policy presentation. I'll turn that over to Trustee Valen.
Just quickly, these are the policies the board reviewed last month, and they're now being presented to the public. It will be open for a month until the regular meeting in March, at which time they'll be up for approval unless different changes need to postpone that. The policies are Policy 5220, District Investments, Policy 5683, Evacuation, Lockdown, and Emergency Dismissal Drills, Policy 6560, Determination of Employment Status, Employee or Independent Contractor, As I said, they'll be considered for adoption at the March 25th, 2025 meeting. Copies of the policy are available in the district clerk's office, at the school buildings, and district website on board docs. Any comments concerning the said policy should be submitted in writing to the Board of Education at board@greenburghcsd.org. Thank you.
Okay, next item up on our agenda is a discussion for the electric signboards. This came up at a facilities committee meeting that we are putting electric signboards, and trustees had some feedback about that. Does anybody want to speak?
I believe it. Can you call?
Trustee Valen.
I believe right now it's late, so now I'm getting tired. Ms. Raymond, you alluded to the fact earlier that the equipment that had been encumbered in this year's current budget, the equipment and installation of those signboards. I think one is here at the Woodlands Middle High School campus, at the entrance near the transportation building, and the other, I believe, is outside of Highview. I know in the past I've had questions about what additional electricity costs that may be to us. And
do we have any costs for electricity estimates increase? Can we, is there,
I can see if I can get some.
Also, I did hear a comment at the facilities meeting that we would have to do some digging around this, maybe the electric wiring to the sign here at Woodlands.
We'd have to tap off of one of the poles to bring it over to the sign.
Yeah, is it possible for us to just get the full costs of these two signs, including like increased electricity costs for the year, any construction around doing these electric signs? Because this may be an area, depending on what the cost is, where the board may want to look at some savings. You at least have some trustees asking about this. It may be a project that can be delayed. It is in the strategic plan, so it needs to be looked at, whether or not we need to try to achieve that right now.
Okay.
We have some other things going on with facilities that are unexpected costs. So if we could get that maybe in our board packet, we can discuss it next time. Is there any other discussion around this? Trustee Along?
Hello. Thank you, David. Do we have specifications on the signs that were selected? We have a budget encumbered for equipment only. That's correct?
No, we have the signs, and in Mr. Puglise's budget would be the construction, electric, and et cetera.
Okay. Did you pick certain specifications or certain equipment already, or?
We have an idea.
You have an idea,
Mhm.
okay. Just curious, and is data included in that? It would be
Yeah,
electrical
I had
and data?
included that in a previous board weekly update.
Okay.
I can do it, I can find it again if you.
Yeah, if we could just put this like as a separate bit of information, I think it would be helpful.
I
Yes,
know that if we don't do that, we have to replace those signs. They are breaking. They're, from what I understand, they're not fixable because they're very old, so.
Totally, I understand. I just wonder, and maybe, again, it might be part of a further discussion about communication and where do we communicate? Do people look at those signs? Highview may have a different exposure since it's on a major thoroughfare than Woodlands, because our sign is all the way in the campus. It's not like it's out on West Hartsdale Avenue too. I don't know what other people think. Post-COVID, people are online more for communication and information. We push out information through Messenger. We have stuff on social media. Do we need to invest? How much money do we need to invest in sign? I don't know. It could be part of a discussion on how much the board wants to, if we're looking for cost savings, how much does it actually cost and how much can savings be out of it? Or maybe we do need them. I don't know. It maybe is an area that we can think about more and discuss at a later time.
I think that we need to find the delta between replacement with a conventional sign versus the electric sign, and to see if there are, in fact, significant cost savings.
But I'm going to repeat what I said earlier, not just the delta between the replacement costs, but, ongoing additional recurring costs that we may incur. And I understand there'll be LED signs, so it's not ridiculous electricity costs, but it would be ongoing additional recurring costs. So that's why I'm interested in that information.
Okay. Any more comments on this item? We can move on to the discussion on the holiday calendar. It is very late, trustees, so I'm just keeping this in mind. Where is the calendar? I had that earlier. Did I give it back to you, Ivy? No? I must have it in here somewhere then. No, it's here, it's here, it's here. Does everybody have copies? They do, okay, good. So we have a calendar. Dr. I, do you want to take it away? Sorry. So the board has a copy of several calendars that our administration has worked on. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 different copies. We're not going to talk about all 8 copies, but this is how detailed and committed the administration was to looking at different options, right?
Right.
At this point, Dr. Iverson recommends to the board
Number 4.
number 4 for adoption. So do we want to look at this calendar and talk about it? And then any board members can, or you can talk about any other calendar, but I don't think we need to go over all 8. Okay?
Okay, so good evening again. Thank you, Trustee Maris. Yes, thank you for noting that the process that we use to develop the calendar drafts that we proposed to the board. This was a collaborative process that involved many stakeholders engaged in conversation. Part of this process included us meeting with associations, the presidents of the GAO and the GCSO and the GTF associations to get their feedback, because we know ultimately the calendar really is what supports our students, but it also supports our staff and teachers and staff as well. So that feedback was important, and that's how all the versions of the calendar is initiated. As a result, I'm recommending to the board calendar draft number 4. As we look at it, this calendar does require us starting the school year prior to Labor Day. August 27th and 28th will be the first 2 days of school for Superintendent Conference Day, Professional Development Day for our teachers and staff, and then that we will have that long weekend off for Labor Day, where it's the 29th, that Friday and Monday will close for Labor Day, and the first day of school then for next year will be September the 2nd. Throughout the months, as it is indicated in green, are these calendars up on the screen anywhere? No? Okay. And that's okay. I didn't know if they could see what I was going over. Okay, so in the month of September, again, we start school on Labor Day, then on September 23rd and 24th, school will be closed. 23rd, 24th.
Well, I think, Dr. I, it might help I just took a picture of your summary. You gave us like a really detailed summary in the superintendent conference.
Did you bring that, Ivy? The summary?
Do you want me to read it?
If you look at the corner.
Okay, there it is. So this, okay, thank you,
yep.
Ivy. There it is. She did remind me, it's at the top. So this calendar does include 4 PD days, 4 superintendent conference days. It includes return in August. It includes Yom Kippur and a 2-week holiday break, no day before Thanksgiving, and no Friday before Memorial Day. It does meet the student requirement of 180 days, and it includes 4 superintendent conference days. The 4 superintendent conference days will be counted towards instructional time as permitted by NYSET law and commissioner's regulations, and the calendar does not include remote instruction.
Okay, Trustee Valen.
First, I'm just going to note that within the calendar, we have continued the practice that we began with you, Dr. Iverson, of honoring many different sorts of holidays that our school community may celebrate. I'm going to note that I do see one that might be missing, and that would be May 27th. It's both Eids fall on school days this year. Eid al-Adha is May 27th, so we might want to consider having that as an additional day of no school if we're going to follow suit with, as we did in the other months of the year. I do see you have 4 snow days in here.
Yes.
I'll state for the record that snow days are great mental health days, bonus mental health days. We simultaneously have a remote instruction plan that isn't ideal, but it is in place if worse came to worse. If we were to have Eid off, we could reduce the snow days to 3 snow days. I'm seeing a head shake, President Mayor's, but I don't know if that's, so I'm just throwing it out there. I'm done talking.
Okay, does anybody else have any head shaking, any comments? Trustee Mans? Oh, did you have a comment? No?
Okay. No, what holiday was May 27th, you said, Chris? I didn't hear it clearly.
Eid.
Oh, okay. Thank you.
Eid al-Adha.
I know which
It's
one.
May
Yeah.
27th.
Okay, got it.
The,
Ivy, Ms. Kraus?
the 4 days that Dr. Iverson has reflected in the calendar are the superintendent conference days. There are no extra days. NICED allows up to 4 superintendent conference days to be used as snow days if needed. They're considered days of instruction. There's 180 student days and 184 teacher days.
I'm sorry, and I could be wrong, but I did do a lot of research. I believe the 4 superintendent conference days count as instructional days, so that's 184 instructional days counted in this calendar, which is why we have 4 snow days. So
Yes, 180 student days and 184 instructional days for teacher days.
But it does count, yes, it's 184 days, yes. Those
Correct.
4
So-
superintendent conference days are instructional days.
So if we observed Eid
We would have-
al-Adha with 183 student instructional days, even though they're only there for 179.
We would have to eliminate a superintendent conference day as well. It has to come from somewhere.
So-
Why don't we take a look at it? and
Yeah,
see.
so,
If we add the 27th in March, in May, that day has to come from somewhere.
so the total days that the students are here physically is 180 right
180,
now.
yes.
And if we observed Eid al-Adha, it's 179. Am I saying that right? Okay.
Yeah.
Did you guys want to say something? Did you talk? You guys were talking.
I'll be honest with you. I'm asking, are you following? Because I'm not following any of this conversation. That's just me. Being transparent.
So what part are you guys?
I
where
don't
we
know.
lose you?
I'm just listening. Just keep going. I'll try to catch on.
Where do we lose?
So,
Now we're talking about snow days. We're talking about PD days, 179 days. Do we need to revisit this at the end of the day? Because
Well,
it
we
sounds
have
like
to
we're a little
adopt
off with
we
calculations
should
at
be
this point.
adopting an agenda, so,
We can't do it.
yeah.
it's not on the agenda for adoption today, but we do need to get to some agreement. So
Okay.
maybe, while this is being looked into, maybe if any other trustees had questions on other aspects of the calendar.
So I'm trying to follow Trustee Warner, if you could give me a second. Go ahead, Trustee Warner.
okay, so I guess if we adopt this extra holiday, are we taking it from somewhere else in the calendar?
It would have to be taken from somewhere else in the calendar unless the calculation with the hours may work. I don't
Yeah.
know, because there is different calculation with the hours. It's not technically days that we count, we just use that, but. Go ahead. I know you got a spreadsheet. We're, according to Trustee Vallen's spreadsheet, we're in the green, but So other than the addition of Eid al-Adha, does anyone else have any questions or comments about this? This would include a return to work in August for the staff before their contractual time. They'd agreed to that, which is good.
Yes, we would
The
have
first day of school would be
the 2nd of September.
September 2nd. Okay. That's important for parents, I think.
And what happens in this schedule, again, as parents and faculty and staff may appreciate, is that we try to give more time for wellness, and so the December break they're off,
So
a longer time. And
That's also pretty important, Dr.
Yes.
I, because this year, I did, as a trustee, got feedback from parents. I don't know if anyone else did, about the fact that we went back on a Thursday.
That's right.
Some people had issue with that from the break, so this way we would have 2 full
You have
weeks
2
off.
full weeks. We come back on January the 5th, so you're out the 22nd, all the way to January the 2nd, that Friday, and come back on the 5th. I know administrators and staff, they were very excited about that.
You're smiling, that's good. Smiling is good. Any questions about that? What? You want? Okay. This has a full week break in February.
Yes.
A full week break in March.
and April.
March into April,
Into
thank
April,
you.
yes.
Any questions? I'm trying to highlight the different things on here. I guess what may be of concern to some folks is there's no day before Thanksgiving, so it's just Thanksgiving Day off.
That's right.
Thanksgiving Day and the day after.
On the 26th, the day before Thanksgiving, we work, and it's a Project Save Day, though.
Right.
But that's true. We are here the day before, so
Right.
the very next day is Thanksgiving.
And no Friday before Memorial Day.
That's right.
Off. Yes, Trustee Sampalayo.
That's because we added in December.
As far as the Wednesday before Thanksgiving, is there a possibility of having an early dismissal?
We can always look into that.
I mean
just
like a
know
half day or
Or-
earlier dismissal than usual?
a lot of people travel, and a lot of kids are not going to be at school.
And we have concerns with staff as well,
Yeah,
being here
I-
on those days. Half-day doesn't change anything. Doesn't change the number of days. It still counts as a full day, as long as we're here by the hour requirement. So it's something we can think about, if that's something we can add. Just make that day a 2-hour early dismissal. Is that what?
Okay. Any more comments, questions? No? Okay, we'll move forward with draft 4. So, no, you want to send it to folks so they can see what you have. Okay. All right, next item on our agenda. You have something? Okay, go ahead.
She should say it.
I'm going to state a very unpopular opinion that there's an awful lot of conversation about days off. And there's an awful lot of days off in the school year. So, adding extras, I'm not a fan for. I wouldn't add any more. As a matter of fact, I'd see if we could, well, I don't know how it works with New York State, but I think of June. There's an awful lot of summer camps that start in June that our kids cannot participate in because they're full in school. And taking more days off in the school year, I'm not for it all, so.
Who's mine? Was that heard? I don't know. He says yes. Okay. So what is your recommendation or your request, Trustee Long?
I don't have a request. I'm stating my opinion because I'm hearing all the conversation about, well, could we get a half day here and another day here? And I'm hearing nothing about the fact that these kids need to be in school. This is how they learn. And the disruption to families, the more days off. So I don't want to be adding more days off to the calendar.
So, so the only days off I heard about were adding the Eid al-Adha and leaving the day before Thanksgiving earlier. Is those the 2 days off you're talking about, or maybe looking at the winter recess?
I'd go further if I could, but this calendar is just fine.
Okay. All right. So,
I mean, if I could jump in,
Yeah.
if you do have to take away days, you know, you might have to jump into maybe these winter recesses or these spring recesses and make them 3 days instead. I'm just throwing that out there. I've seen other institutions do that. You might have to think about that, so I'm just throwing that in there if we have to, you know, accommodate other days.
if we have to accommodate.
Like,
other
let's
days.
say we want to do, you know, we want to take the day off before Thanksgiving, and we have to incorporate that, what's it called? Eid al-Fitr?
Eid al-Adha.
Yeah. You just might have to cut into the spring and the winter breaks, and that's it. That's where you're going to have some wiggle room.
Okay. Does anyone have any other questions, concerns? Okay, hearing none, we're going to move on. We're not adopting the calendar tonight, so if anyone has any concerns, they can definitely come to the next board meeting and make a comment, public comment. Next on our agenda are reports, and trustees, the time is now 10:11 p.m. We have some pretty important exec session stuff to go through. Does anyone what's your pleasure? Yes, Trustee Valen? So does anyone want to, what is your pleasure with tabling committee and liaison reports tonight? If anyone wants to announce the date and time of their committee meeting, that would be great, but actually tabling our reports, I plan to table my board president's report so we can get to the rest of the agenda and specifically our executive session. It's 10:12 p.m., but what is your pleasure, board?
I can table.
Okay, I have a recommendation. Is anybody opposed to that? Okay, let's move forward. Meeting, you want to share the dates and times of your upcoming meetings?
I did want to announce specifically that this coming Thursday, February 27th at 7 p.m. in the Woodlands Middle High School Freelo Center is the Finance Committee meeting where we will be going over the budget presentation that we heard again tonight. If anyone in the public wants to attend that meeting and give feedback or have a conversation about it, that is a good forum to do so. Again, that's this Thursday, February 27th at 7 p.m.
Okay.
I'll also note that there's an education meeting tomorrow, 7 p.m., Woodlands Middle High School Innovation Lab. We're covering pathways to graduation. Governance and Policy, Monday, March 3rd, 7 p.m. Technology, Thursday, March 6th, 1 p.m. Thank you.
Thank you. Does anyone, yes, Trustee Long?
The Wellness Committee is meeting this week, Thursday at 12:30 p.m. in the Freelo Center.
Thank you. Anything, Trustee Warner?
The next meeting of the Community Engagement Committee is Wednesday, March 12th at 7:30 p.m. All are welcome. The next meeting of the Facilities Committee is March 6th at 6:30 p.m. in the Woodlands Innovation Lab. I need to be thinking about if you want to be a judge for the Nettie Jackson Extra Mile Award. So we're going to need a board member traditionally for that committee. I don't know what you want me to do then about the 4-3 vote on the doing the whole water project that's sitting
Let's
there.
put that on our work
But
session
we have
agenda.
you have something, okay, you're going to cover it.
Yes.
Okay,
Put it
great.
on our work session agenda. Can somebody remind me, maybe Ivy?
Okay, that's
The
it.
work session, thank you. All right, moving on, we have Superintendent's report, Dr. I.
I have just a matter of a few announcements very quickly. Some of you have heard already, but I want to remind our parents that next Wednesday, March 5th, we are closed for Superintendent Conference Day. It's on the calendar as you plan for that. Tomorrow here at the high school, we have the honor roll ceremony in the morning for our middle school students, and on Thursday is for our high school students. And as we heard tonight, our varsity basketball teams are doing very well. We want to cheer our students on, and that our varsity girls are going to be in Dobbs Ferry and our boys are playing home tomorrow. And just as I've been sending home messages every week to the parents and the community, I just want to reiterate again to the community here that, we here in Greenburgh Central School District are still committed to support the New York State Education Department. Last week a week ago, talked about how we are going to sustain our support for culturally responsive, sustaining education here in our district. And the commitment is here still in Greenburgh Central School District as we have embedded this approach in our strategic plan, and it underpins all that we do. As we now celebrate Black History Month, and we're nearing the end of the month, and on the heels of several other celebrations and cultural observances that we are about to embark upon, we are still going to continue to reinforce our appreciation here in Greenburgh for the contribution of all of our diverse community, and we will be sharing more details about some of those events with you in my weekly update coming up.
Thank you so much, Dr. Iverson. I just want to point out, nothing's going to be done, obviously, but because we're short on time, but you said the 26th is a middle school honors
Tomorrow, yes, at 8.
Then we have the 27th is a middle school, high school, excuse me, honor celebration. And then the 28th, there's a Black History performance.
Yes, that was mentioned.
Yeah, as a parent with multiple children, this would be extremely difficult. I don't know if, there can be a conversation had about future presentations, if we could do as much in one day. I do think that will be helpful. Actually, a comment was made to me earlier by a retired educator that's kind of usually what's done to help parents get to events, because if you are employed, you can't just keep taking off, especially if you have multiple children, to go to different events, different days.
Okay.
But just wanted to bring that up. Assistant Superintendent for Curriculum Instruction Programs and Personnel.
Just 2 items in the interest of time. So first, I want to commend the Woodlands Middle High School team for the Black Excellence Personified today, the Black History Month, where they invited professionals. I was able to engage with young people, 9th graders specifically, about the career journey, and I think it was just a warm celebration where they honored all those in the community, and it was very strong community engagement. Also, regarding UPK, just as a note, that all the eligible children that completed the UPK application on time have received confirmation of placement, and any student who is on the waiting list has also been communicated to around if they didn't hand it in on time, if they did not meet the deadline, were communicated to, and understand that as placements arise, space becomes available, that they will be notified, either through district or through potential CBO. And finally, as was mentioned, our MBK Family and Community Engagement Grant was approved last week. We received the communication, approved for funding, and the orientation was February 14th. About 56 students were here in the auditorium. Dr. Iverson was present, along with the mentors. So we're hoping that, things will start moving. We know things will start moving, but we're hoping that the students remain engaged in this program. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Njoku. And the...
Wait,
Yes, Trustee Warner?
how long was the waiting list for UPK? How long is the waiting list? You said everybody got...
The wait list?
Right
who
now,
got
I
their-
believe there's 6 or 7 students that,
6 or 7.
families that handed in their application after the date.
Great,
The
thanks.
ECP wait list. Okay, it was hard to hear you, Trustee Warner. I do have to say for ECP, we also made some changes with where their classes are going to be. Do you want to just say that?
Based on the budget? Okay, so based on the placement, it's still within the 3 locations, so it will be in ECP Main, Highview, LF Jackson. It's just the number of sections switches. So LF Jackson currently has 3, they'll have 2. Highview currently has 2, they'll have 3.
So Highview will have 3, Lee F. Jackson will have 2, and Maine will have 4
4.
still? Okay. All right, so we'll have 4.
No, it's still the 9 total in the
Okay.
3 bill.
Okay, thank you. All right, next we have Assistant Superintendent for Business.
Thank you. The treasurer's report for the month of December, we began the month with $37,638,871 and deposited receipts of $1,788,524 and dispersed $9,862,966 to end the month with $29,564,418. As you know, the roofing projects have begun here at Woodlands Middle High School over the break. There was some abatement done, and Mr. Puglisi told me today that the auditorium, the roof above the auditorium was also completed. At LF Jackson, the gas line has been completed for the energy performance contract and was being paved today. Our section of the work is complete on our school grounds. The gas line trenching for the Woodlands Middle High School that will go along and over Pat Capone Road will begin shortly, sometime this week. We've contacted the contractor and asked them if they could accommodate the morning traffic with their construction, and they're willing to work with us as much as possible. And that work should take 2 to 3 weeks to complete.
Great, thank you, Ms. Raymond. Any questions, comments? Trustee Long?
I'm sorry, Ms. Raymond, did you say that the Highview trench, the connection was done? Or
Yeah.
Lee F. Jackson?
Jackson.
Do you happen to know Highview? I saw them working and patching up a hole. It looked like they were making final connections.
I know that they were working on that. That was the first one, so I don't know exactly, but I will find out.
They were
where-
supposed to do the hookup, the gas hookup at Highview during the week that we were off.
Yeah. It looked like they finished today, so.
Good.
I didn't go down and interrogate.
I'll put that in my weekly update.
Thank you, Ms. Raymond. Any other questions? Trustee Valen?
Sorry, Ms. Raymond, if you could just repeat and/or clarify. So Pat Capone Road, which is the private road going through the Woodlands Middle High School campus, will be limited to 1-lane traffic.
Correct.
Starting next week for a few weeks.
For-
So anyone who inadvertently uses our private road to go from point A to point B might be best suited to go by another route, so they're not waiting for stop and goes? Is that?
Correct.
Okay,
Correct.
thank you.
Trustee, anyone else? No? Okay, can I get a motion for exec session? It's 10:23 PM.
I move that we adjourn to executive session to discuss information relating to proposed, pending, or current litigation, collecting bargaining negotiations, the employment history of particular persons, personnel matters under employee records, and matters deemed confidential by state or federal law, including seeking advice from counsel.
It's been properly moved in second. Any discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstention? Motion carries. We're now in exec session. Thank you. Tell me where we are. We're in our personnel
Instructional.
approvals. What?
Yeah.
What? Regular meeting approvals, personnel instructional. Item E1, can I get a motion, please?
I move that we approve the instructional personnel items presented to the board for approval this evening.
I'd second, but I don't have a speaker. Second.
It's been properly moved in second. Any discussion? Hearing none. All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstentions? Motion carries. E2, personnel non-instructional.
I move that we approve the non-instructional personnel items presented to the board for approval this evening.
Second.
It's been properly moved in second. Any discussion? Hearing none. All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstentions? Motion carries. Item E3, board action items.
I move that we approve the board action items presented to the board for approval this evening.
Second.
It's been properly moved in second. Any discussion? Hearing none. All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstentions? Motion carries. E4, finance items.
I move that we approve the finance items presented to the board for approval this evening.
Second.
It's been properly moved in second. Any discussion? Hearing none. All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstentions? Motion carries. E5, business items.
I move that we approve the business items presented to the board for approval this evening.
Second.
It's been properly moved in second. Any discussion? Hearing none. All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstentions? Motion carries. E6, pupil personnel services items.
I move that we approve the pupil personnel services items presented to the board for approval this evening.
Second.
It's been properly moved in second. Any discussion? Hearing none. All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstention? Motion carries. Let's move on to new business. L1, new business items. Are there any new business items for for consideration this evening? Hearing none, let's move on to L2, adjournment.
I move that we adjourn this meeting.
Second.
It's been properly moved in second. Any discussion? Hearing none. All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstention? Motion carries. 12:39, end of meeting. Thank you. Good night.